Good morning. On behalf of the Alliance of Women in Workers' Compensation, I want to welcome you to today's webinar. Today's webinar is entitled The Chemistry of Confidence, Perfecting Your Formula. This is a live session with Jenny Evans being broadcast today, November 16th, 2023. Before we get started, I would like to thank our corporate sponsors for their support on hosting events such as this. They support us not because they want their logos up on a screen, but they support the cause, which is to effect positive change in the workers' compensation industry through networking, supporting, mentoring, and collaboration. The Alliance is inclusive of all professionals in workers' compensation, regardless of career stage, with the belief that we can all learn from and support each other. Our theme this year is Together Towards Tomorrow. Be sure to head to the Alliance website for all events. We've hosted webinars, collaboration sessions, and in-person events throughout the year, so please check back on our website for all upcoming event details. And if you weren't able to make one of our virtual or in-person events, don't worry. All events are on demand for our followers. Our book club is in full swing. Core to 4 books include The Resiliency Revolution by today's speaker Jenny Evans and The Execution Factor by Kim Perrell. Head to our website to join the discussion. The Alliance grew so much in 2022 and continues to grow this year as we launch several new chapters. Be sure to connect with your local ambassador for any upcoming events, and if you would like more details on the ambassador program, stay tuned for a January 2024 panel where we will provide details about the program and how to get involved. Change is preceded by trust. It is through acceptance and inclusion that trust will be formed and positive impact will occur. The Alliance is committed to creating a safe space in the workers' compensation industry for women of diverse backgrounds and experiences through a shared culture that integrates various perspectives. This is who we are and who we will be. The time to do better and be better is now. The Alliance understands that diversity is a journey that will take time to make meaningful changes for our organization, its followers, and its supporters. We'll be intentional in making progress along our key pillars of change. Turning to today's webinar, we are so excited to have Jenny Evans back for her second live session. If you haven't yet, make sure you check out Jenny's keynote and panel sessions from the WCI Conference, as well as a replay of her live session from last month. All 3 are on demand. Today's session is sure to be a highlight for everyone, and it's all about chemistry. Moxie, swagger, boss energy. Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's her chemistry. Yes, there's a huge connection between the chemistry of your body and brain and your sense of confidence. Get ready for a seismic shift in how you think about the foundation of what makes you sure, steady, decisive, committed, and proactive. This is a highly interactive and engaging session that will give you the tools and daily practices to perfect your confidence formula to thrive in the face of stress, change, and uncertainty. Jenny is an inspiring speaker, author, and organizational consultant on resiliency, stress, confidence, and human performance. She is the CEO of Powerhouse Performance and the award-winning author of our Q4 book club book, The Resiliency Revolution. She has spoken on the TEDx stage and is a subject matter expert and spokesperson for several major healthcare organizations. As this is a live session, please utilize the chat feature throughout the webinar with your thoughts and to engage with Jenny. We know there's going to be a lot of dialogue and we love to see it. Thank you for the time you're spending with us today, and we hope you enjoy this webinar.
Hey, good morning, Women in Compensation. I gotta say, I've been so looking forward to this session, but also stressed out because this is our last one in this series of 3. I have so enjoyed being with you. As Lori mentioned, if you missed the last virtual, please go check it out. And if you missed the in-session or the in-person session that I did, please check that out as well. And just a shout out and a thank you to Lori and Julie for bringing me in and all the work that they did to make these events so smooth and successful. So you're here. So I'm going to challenge you to be fully here. You, my dears, are worth 60 minutes of full engagement. So I was going to say I'm going to invite you. I'm going to tell you sternly to close out your email, close out any other screens, any other distractions. As Lori mentioned, we are going to be doing some chatting in the chat box. There's going to be a random prize giveaway, but I'm not going to tell you when it's going to happen, or there's going to be something that you're going to have to do to win that prize. So you're not going to want to be multitasking. So get ready for an awesome 60 minutes. All right. So in my decades of education and experience, I've come to learn that yes, there is a psychology component to confidence, But there's also a physiological component to confidence. And both of these things can be developed. Throughout my career, I have been obsessed with human performance. I love to figure out, how can we expand our capacity? How can we be better? How can we do more? How can we get stronger? How can we become more resilient? It's really about, how do we fully develop our talent and skill? And while I am focused on accomplishment and achievement, that's not the full story. Really, I would say the through line is this story is, how do we feel in the process of trying to learn and accomplish and do more? Who do we become in the process? And I'm not talking about like, well, yeah, I'm going to feel successful. What I'm talking about is that you feel good about yourself as a human, that you feel proud of what you've done. You feel grounded. You feel confident. You feel unstoppable. You feel fulfilled. So, what I'd like to know in the chat box right now are, what are some things or circumstances that challenge your sense of confidence? So, what makes you doubt yourself? What makes you maybe pull back or play small? Okay, so, oh, Shelly, comparison. Ding, ding, ding. Wow, that is the thief of joy and confidence. Okay, work. Christine says meeting new people. Deborah, the false guilt. Oh man, as women, we are so good at like majoring in guilt. Not knowing the answer to a work question. Jules, I like this one. Years of experience, but no official degree. So that imposter syndrome. Elizabeth, feeling out of control. Cynthia, just, yeah, when I don't know a lot about something. Angie, that little inner voice of self doubt. Eugenia, when other people are challenging your opinion, which happens to a lot of women in the workplace. And like add in that a lot of you are also working in male dominated industries. Ooh, Sherry, the success of others. Oh, you guys, these are such great examples. I mean, they're not great because they're not fun, but thank you for that. So you have a lot of talent and skill, or you wouldn't be here today. You wouldn't be where you are today. But research has shown that confidence matters as much as talent and skill. And I think a lot of us tell ourselves a whole series of stories that sort of sound like, you know what, as soon as I reach a certain level or a certain title or, a certain money amount, that I'm going to feel like I finally have things figured out. Like I know what's going on and I feel a sense of control. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but I'm still waiting for that sensation of like, yes, I totally have everything figured out. Because as soon as we step out of our comfort zone, as soon as we decide to take risk, as soon as we say yes to that thing that we're not really sure how to do, but we're pretty sure we can figure it out, or anytime we're exposed to change, that creates stress. It creates discomfort. And the thing about stress is that it is not something that just happens in our heads. Stress is a chemical, biological event, and it radically changes your chemistry and your physiology. And it really goes back to how we're all biologically hardwired to deal with stress. So let's just say the day starts off great, everything's going well, body and brain is in a state of balance, but something unexpected happens, or you decide, yes, I'm going to say yes to this thing, I'm going to take some risk. Well, the stress response is triggered, and immediately stress hormones start squirting and spraying all over your insides. And one of the things that these stress hormones do is they trigger your body to release energy from storage sites into your bloodstream to immediately fuel your muscles for either fighting or fleeing. Now, When we get this microburst of intense physical activity, it burns off the stress hormones and it produces another set of molecules that we're just going to call the bliss molecules, the confidence molecules. And what these do is they slow the body and brain and return it back to a state of balance. Okay, so I studied psychology and exercise physiology, and I'm just continually blown away by how the human body and brain is designed. This is a beautiful design because the end result of a stressful situation is that we are returned to a state of balance. It's brilliant. But the essential component to this system really working is what I call that microburst, that intense physical activity that changes our chemistry, that burns off the stress hormones. Christine, great question. I'm gonna tell you what the stress hormones are. And this microburst produces the bliss molecules, and we'll get technical on what those are in just a minute as well. So if we don't get this microburst, it short circuits this beautiful hardwiring system at its most critical point. And when you think about how often do you get to take off running or just punch somebody right in the face when you're stressed out, that doesn't happen. And so we're just stuck stewing in this toxic broth of stress hormones that just continue to circulate and recirculate throughout our brain and body that not only affect our psychology, but our physiology and our confidence. So here's what I'd like to know. We're gonna do a two-part activity, and we're just gonna start here. Here's what I want to know. In your opinions, what are the qualities of a good, confident leader? So if you would just please type your thoughts and opinions into the chat box right now. Okay, Jules, calm. Okay, love it. Or at least looking like they're calm. Compassion, willing to admit when they're wrong, decisive, authentic, fair, supportive, they listen, they're organized, they're encouraging, clear and direct communication, wise and inclusive, empathy and humility, gives credit where due, honesty, openness. They don't make rash decisions. Okay, love this list. Okay, remember this list. We're going to come back to this list. Okay, now when we are exposed to a stressful event, oh yeah, hi. Okay, we got all fancy with technology, so you could actually see all of these. Okay, so I'm doing it now. You see all of these great ideas. Okay, all right. I'm just too fancy for my own good. All right, one of the most powerful stress hormones is cortisol, and it affects every system in the body, but it also does some really amazing things to our brains. Now, our brains are incredibly complex and amazing. There's still so many things that we're learning about it. We could dive deep in there, but we're going to keep things super simple, that you basically have two major parts of your brain. So the very first part of our brains that developed are what I call our primitive caveman brain. So this is your reptilian brain. This is your amygdala. This part of your brain is basically your fight or flight response. And I like to think of this part of our brains as Sneaky Pete, okay? His number one job is your safety, your security, your protection, your survival. He just wants you to feel good at all times. He is very emotionally driven, highly passionate. He's all about taking action. All right, sneaky. There's a lot of reasons why he's sneaky, but he has some downsides in that this part of our brain is hardwired to be negative, to be defensive, to always assume the worst about situations, to is really driven and motivated by fear. This part of our brain also loves just like habit and predictability and a sense of control. Sneaky Pete hates change. He does not like to take risk. He doesn't like anything that's sort of unknown. And this part of our brain is unbelievably lazy. It always wants just the easiest default option. Two really important things to point out about this part of our brain. Nowhere on this list will you see rational thought or thinking. This part of our brain is just highly emotional and it's very reactive. It has no capacity for thought or logic at all. Secondly, this is the default setting for our brains because it takes the least amount of energy to use. As our brains continued to grow and develop, the neocortex developed over the top of the primitive caveman brain. And I like to think of this as, this is our advanced leadership brain. I like to think of this as Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Like, she is all facts, data, rational thought. She is very sure in her decision making. She has a sense of confidence and knowing. This part of our brain also is really connected to our sense of purpose. Sneaky Pete's purpose is just survival. This part of our brain is more about survival for what? Thinking beyond just like our daily needs. Okay, now the notorious RBG part of our brain, it's not perfect. She's got some downsides in that this is self-discipline and willpower, which is a very limited resource. This part of our brain is very often overridden by emotion without us thinking about it. We think so often that we're making decisions based on data and facts, but about 95% of human decisions and behavior is driven by emotion. What we do is we actually will have an emotional reaction and then we'll rationalize or justify logically why we made that decision. And this part of our brain is not the default setting because it's incredibly expensive from an energy perspective. So we have these two different parts of our brain with different strengths, different weaknesses, different priorities that are kind of always wrestling each other for control. Hey, I'm headed out on my run now.
Hey, wait! Where are you going? Season 3 of our favorite show just came out. Plus, it's kind of cold out there. And we could totally just do it later. Wait! I know what we could have. Oh, we got Snickers and we've also got some chocolate chip cookies. We got chips. We got rice cakes. Not having those. Oh, and we've got the chocolates.
You know that new keynote that you gotta give tomorrow? What if it really sucks and we totally bomb? I'm begging you, shut up. Jenny, you need to hurry up and get to sleep. We've got to get up so early in the morning. Hurry up! Go to sleep!
Oh, I just can't even. Okay, Jenny, you just focus. You've got to get this content done. What? I noticed that the paper clips in your drawer are super unorganized. We should tidy that up right now. Yeah?
No.
Hey, we should check out what's going on Facebook.
Are you cracked in the head? We're not doing that right now. Dude!
Hey, it's 4 o'clock. You've worked really, really hard today. Let's go make a gin and tonic.
Oh my gosh, that totally sounds like a brilliant idea. Let's go. The struggle is real. And yes, that is my kryptonite. Okay, so here's the important takeaway. Whenever our stress response is triggered, Sneaky Pete completely hijacks our advanced brain, and we have no access to it whatsoever. And there are a lot of ramifications and consequences of this hijack. It changes the way we process information. It literally changes the way that we think. So in 2009, Air France Flight 447 left Rio de Janeiro, headed to Paris. There are 228 people on board. Now, just under 4 hours into the flight, really with no warning whatsoever, it completely disappeared. Okay, 2009. So we're talking about satellite technology, instantaneous global communication. How's that even possible? Well, there was a hijacker on board that day, but not in the way that you're likely thinking. So there were 3 pilots flying the plane. There was a senior, very experienced pilot, 2 junior co-pilots, less experienced. So just under 4 hours into the flight, the senior pilot left the cabin to go get some rest and recovery. And not long after that, they flew into a tropical thunderstorm. Now, not a huge deal. It's not like there was a cyclone or hurricane of like, duh, go around it. Just a thunderstorm. But what happened was that some moisture from the air froze on the external airspeed sensors. And when that happens, it disengages the automatic pilot feature. So now suddenly, these 2 junior co-pilots are in charge of an airplane and 228 people. They have no idea how fast they're going. Now, there is a procedure and a checklist that they are supposed to follow that will help them identify the problem and take appropriate action. But in a panic, one of those pilots grabbed onto the controls. He pulled back, which caused that airplane to start to climb, but also to lose airspeed, and it put that airplane into a stall. Basically, that airplane just started to drop out of the sky. And according to the black box, that stall alarm warning blared 57 times, alerting them to the most urgent problem. In a panic, that pilot forgot one of the most basic tenets that you learn in flight school. Never pull back on the controls like that, because it does put you at risk for a stall. Ironically, if that pilot would have done nothing, they would have been in a better situation. But he became emotional, he became reactive, and the hijacker on board that day was Sneaky Pete. And Sneaky Pete is often in the cockpit of our lives, making really important business decisions, communicating to our teams or our customers, raising our children if we have them, courting our significant other if we have one. This hijack also changes the way that we communicate. So communication, is both talking as well as listening. So when Sneaky Pete's in charge, just think about the quality of our communication. We are very direct. We are probably not using constructive criticism. It's just basically criticism. We're very passionate about how we're talking. Also, listening, okay? When we get this Sneaky Pete hijack, we actually become incapable of hearing everything that we need to hear. So a lot of times we see what we want to see, we hear what we want to hear. Also, this affects our inner communication. One of you mentioned that inner voice. That is that voice of fear and self-doubt that tells you, don't do it, you can't do it, there will be serious consequences if you do it. Cortisol and Sneaky Pete also affect our confidence, because remember, Sneaky Pete is now in charge, and he is hardwired to be negative, to be fearful, to be full of doubt. Confidence is not his strong suit. Also, Sneaky Pete is not about taking risk. He's like, no. Let's stay in the cave, right in here where everything is safe, everything is comfortable. Don't put yourself out there. For our ancestors, being accepted in our tribes was really important. And so when Sneaky Pete's in charge, he's just like, Do not rock the boat. Make sure you are accepted by everyone. Do what it takes to be accepted by everyone. This also affects our decision making, okay? When like you're super stressed out, again, we're not making a lot of rational, logical decisions. We are becoming very emotional. We are very reactive. So it changes how we prioritize, how we really process information. Oh, the decision making too. And Sneaky Pete is all about the right now. He's like, who cares about the future? We could die right now and there will be no future. So let's just fix the problem for right now. So he's also very short-sighted. Sneaky Pete also changes our focus. Okay, when Sneaky Pete's in charge, think about this. Are you focused on the problem or are you focused on the solution? Sneaky Pete is always focused on the problem, all right? Sneaky Pete, is your focus to be reactive or to be proactive? Sneaky Pete is reactive all day long. The focus, is it on me or is it on the we? What's best for my team? What's best for my customers? What's best for the organization? Sneaky Pete is all about the me. I just need to protect myself. Sneaky Pete is in charge of all of our habits, how much we move, how and what we eat, when we go to bed, when we kind of just like hang out and lay on the couch. He's all about conserving energy, and he just wants what he wants. He doesn't care about the future consequences. And like, if all of this is not bad enough, cortisol actually kills cells in the Ruth Bader Ginsburg part of our brain. That rational, logical part of our brain actually starts to shrink, and it actually makes Sneaky Pete more hyperactive. Okay, so now I want to go back to all of the qualities of a great leader that you shared with me. Okay, so being calm, being willing to admit when you're wrong, you're not putting other people down, you're decisive, friendly, fair, supportive, you listen, you're organized, you're encouraging, you're humble, you're a great listener, you're open-minded. Okay, can you see how the Sneaky Pete hijack affects our leadership, affects our confidence? So what I'd like to know from you right now, what is the latest, just the latest struggle that you and Sneaky Pete have been having? If you wouldn't mind sharing that in the chat box, whether it's what you're prioritizing, the decisions that you're making, being able to control oneself from an emotional perspective. I am having some health problems and I've had to go on this 28-day doctor supervised food protocol that involves nothing. Man, has me and Sneaky Pete just have been wrestling things out. Okay, Jules, Sneaky Pete shows up when you're working long hours and then you're snappy with people after work. Making time for yourself versus an exercise versus taking care of everybody else. Sneaky Pete always will rationalize of like, what's more important is, the family. Sherry, removing emotions from some of the decisions, and it's just hard to see the facts. Cassandra, Sneaky Pete's showing up around sleeping, time management and organization, bad communication. Eugenia, setting boundaries. Shelly, when I see somebody who's not doing things the way that I would like them, whether that's at work or at home, of like, I know I asked you to fold the towels, but that is not how you fold the towels. They need to be done a certain way. Not being able to say no. Okay, Jules is all about understands that there's a way to fold the towels. Okay, so you guys, the major takeaway here is that from a chemistry perspective, cortisol is a confidence killer. There is a chemical reason, oftentimes, for our self-doubt. So there is a chemistry, a body and brain chemistry that is more conducive to confidence that we're going to be talking about. So oftentimes the conversations around, how do I be more confident? How do I better deal with my stress? Those are all, we're given cognitive stress management techniques, okay? Well, what did we just learn? That during times of stress, we don't have access to the advanced part of our brain where those cognitive techniques reside because Sneaky Pete is in charge. So what we need to do is first change our chemistry and our physiology so we can get rid of the cortisol, we can get rid of Sneaky Pete, he can just calm the F down, take a relax, and then we have access to our advanced brain where we can start to utilize some of those cognitive techniques for confidence. And so I am all about using micro strategies because change triggers our stress response. Even when we know the change is good, even when we decide that we want to change. Remember, Sneaky Pete doesn't like change. That means, there's the possibility of failure. It's probably going to require more energy. He doesn't like it. So we have to shrink the change to make it so easy that a caveman could do it. And also, ladies, you have got too much on your plates already. So the last thing that I want to do is tell you to do a bunch of stuff that you don't have the time or energy for. So these are things that you can literally do in 60 seconds to change your chemistry as well as your psychology. So one of the most important micro strategies is something that I call a microburst. Our ancestors responded to stress physically. They did the fighting and they did the fleeing that changed their chemistry and got Sneaky Pete out of the cockpit. So when we get a microburst, we get bliss molecules, we get confidence molecules, so we get endorphins. These are morphine-like substances that just give us all the sensation of just feeling super good, super happy, nothing's wrong, everything's great. We get things called endocannabinoids. Now, maybe you've never heard of these before, but the more you look at that word, you're like, cannabis? Yeah, this is a cannabis-like substance that our body produces in response to exercise that makes us feel calm. We get brain-derived neurotrophic factor. This is like miracle grow for our brains. It actually stimulates the growth of new brain cells in the Ruth Bader Ginsburg advanced part of our brains. We get human growth hormone, we get dopamine, we get all kinds of things that put our brains into a state of calm, focused, happy confidence. All right, so as I was learning about these bliss molecules, I already admitted I love me a G&T. I like to feel good. And so I was like, okay, let's talk more about these bliss molecules. If these happen after a microburst, okay, how micro are we talking and how bursty am I actually going to have to get? So I poured over the research journals, and what I found is that our body produces the bliss molecules after just 30 to 60 seconds of intense physical activity. And if you think about it, makes a ton of sense, because how long did the stress response last for our ancestors? It didn't go on for hours. It didn't go on for weeks. It didn't go on for months. Either it was over with or they were over with. It played itself out very quickly. So I'm curious to know in the chat box, on a scale of 1 to 5, how easy does 30 to 60 seconds of a microburst sound to you? 5, you were like, so easy, a caveman could totally do it. 1, you're like, yeah, you're still talking about exercise, Jenny. Okay, so Sarah's a 5, Jody's a 5, Larissa's a 5, Althea's a 4, Sneaky Pete's kind of coming in there. Okay, mainly 4s and 5s. Oh, Sherry's at a 3. Sneaky Pete, calm down. All right, well, I'm glad that you said, like, this sounds really easy, because, y'all, we're going to do a microburst or 3. And I made a tool, because Sneaky Pete is really lazy, on how to just quickly and efficiently get some microbursts to change our chemistry. So what I developed is this product. It's called Hit the Deck. And what's in the box are 35 cards. And on the back of each card is an exercise that both elevates your heart rate and it challenges your muscles. So it's like the fighting and the fleeing all in one. And you don't need any equipment. This is just using your own body weight. And there's a handy dandy portable programmable timer. So what you do is you punch in 30 to 60 seconds, you draw a card, and whatever exercise is on the back of that card, you crank out as many reps as you can, and when the timer beeps, you just changed your chemistry. That was your microburst. You got rid of cortisol, you got rid of Sneaky Pete, and now you've got advanced brain. Oh, Sherry, I love it. I took your 3 and made it a 5. Mwah! Okay, so here's what we're going to do, because I know you've likely experienced some stress today. We're actually going to do 3 microbursts right now. And I know your Sneaky Pete just went like, what? Okay, all we're going to do is we're only going to go for about 20 seconds. I just want you to get a feel for this. You do not have to have a ton of room. You don't have to change your clothes. You don't even have to put on shoes. Hopefully you are wearing pants. But I am going to invite you, instead of just watching, just be like, I really don't have to do this. I want you to feel the difference. So just do a quick scan, like how are you feeling physiologically and psychologically right now before we do this? All right, now the first microburst that we're going to do is one that I call Nordic ski race. So it's sort of like you're just cross-country skiing. If you would like a low-impact version, you can just take it here. So when the music starts, on your feet, bliss molecules, here we go. All right, so the nice thing about a microburst, like I said, you don't have to have any equipment. If you have your body and gravity's in the on position, you have everything that you need to both elevate your heart rate and challenge your muscles to be able to create those chemical changes in both your body and your brain. And as you can hear, my heart rate is starting to come up, and I'm wondering what is taking so long. Okay, microburst number 2. All right, I do work out, y'all, but this is how effective your body can be. I'm stalling. Microburst number 2, squat jump. You're going to squat down, knees behind the toes, and we're just going to take a little jump, just a little pop-up. And if you don't want that high-impact version, you can just do a squat and a reach. Let's go. Okay. Now, another nice thing about these, you guys, is you can do this anytime, anywhere. If you are about to walk into a meeting that you know is going to be challenging, do a microburst. If you are about to tackle something that feels hard, do a microburst. If you're feeling just emotional and reactive, this is a nice way to change the chemistry of your body and your brain. Okay. Oh, girl. All right. Last microburst. Okay. We're going to shadow box. So we're going to mix it up with some jabs, some roundhouse, some uppercut. All right. Let's go. All right. This one, if you want to do an advanced version, you could also do a little visualization activity with this one. All right, just keep it moving. So people have told me that they'll go into the bathroom stall at work and they'll do a microburst. I've had managers tell me that they'll actually walk through cubicle land with Hit the Deck and just make everybody get up, take a break, change the chemistry, get some energy. Okay, now, how do you feel physiologically, psychologically? When I do this live, audiences start clapping, and I'm like, okay, you're clearly high on the bliss molecules because you just clapped for exercise, all right? So hopefully you feel a difference. Whoa! Oh, it is prize giveaway time. Okay, the very first person that types hit the deck into the chat box is going to win your own hit the deck. Oh, I saw it. Who is it? Oh, yep. Here we go. Brrr, the first person, Cynthia. Way to go. Okay, Cynthia, I will get your mailing address and I will send this right to your front door. Okay, now that I have caught my breath, I want to know, what is one way that you could get a microburst on a typical day? So yes, you could get your own hit the deck. They are on my website. But I want to share, your dog wasn't sure what was happening. What's one way that you can get a microburst? No, Jules, it does not have to be cardio based. So you could do something that challenges your muscles. So you could do sit-ups, you could do squats, you could do lunges. Gabby, going up and down the stairs. Stairs are a great microburst. Jody, get up from my desk and do a burst on the way to the kitchen. Yes. Shelly, dancing, fun microburst. I mean, put on some music and just dance your butt off. Jules, doing planks. Yes. Sarah, just going to the furthest bathroom, not taking the elevator, walking in the parking lot. Absolutely, you guys, these are, again, and it doesn't have to take a ton of time. Just you now have control of your chemistry, which gives you more control over your confidence as well as your resilience. Okay, awesome. You guys, thank you so much for all this great engagement in the chat box. Okay, here's the next thing I would love for you to think about. So we talked about, like, we have to change our chemistry and our physiology first, which we just did. Now we can talk a little bit about how can we change our psychology. I'm going to ask you to just start opening your brain to the idea that movement and exercise are your confidence laboratory. Confidence requires taking action and practicing movement. Okay, here's what I can say. Like, confidence means that you're not unafraid. Confidence means that you can feel fear. You can feel discomfort. You cannot know. But you are going to choose to take a step forward anyway. Confidence has a lot to do with getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And moving your body can be a great way to practice getting comfortable with getting uncomfortable in a safe space, in a way that works for you, because you can control how much discomfort you're actually exposing your body to. Now, I know that your inner voice, Sneaky Pete, is like, easy for you to say, Little Miss Fitness, I'm not athletic, I'm not coordinated. Well, hold your horses, because this is me. I think I'm about 4 years old in this picture. And I don't know if you can see this, but if you look really close, you're like, what is that on your forehead? Stitches. You guys, I was such a klutz as a kid. I had stitches twice before the age of 5. I was supposed to get stitches a third time, but my mom was like, I cannot take you back to the hospital because they're going to put me on the list of abusive parents. So we are going to butterfly bandage this. I was so uncoordinated that my mom signed me up for dance class because she was like, girl, you need help. I also was very pigeon-toed as a kid. My toes kind of pointed in. And so they did some x-rays, and it turns out that my hips were deformed. So that's me in the middle. This is on Easter. What's that on your feet, Jenny? Why are you wearing those man shoes? Well, those were the corrective shoes I was forced to wear at all times. They sold them in one store in the next town over. They came in 2 options, ugly, uglier. I called these my clod hoppers, and they had these specially made insoles that I had to wear. My mom made me the most killer Halloween costume, man shoes on the bottom. Eugenia, she had the same shoes. I'm sorry. Okay, so I grew up in a really small town. There was not a lot to do. So you would just go out for sports, not because, well, for me, I'm like, I'm not athletic, but it's a way for me to hang out with my friends. I'm not super great at sports, so I'm just gonna go out for track because all you gotta do is run in a straight line. Y'all, I sucked so bad. Okay, look, I'm running a relay, and if you can see, there's no other people around me. And that is not because I was in the lead. I mean, look at this guy. He had to turn his back because he was like, oh my God, how embarrassing for this girl. The presidential physical fitness test, I got the I tried ribbon every single time. All right, so there is a very strong physical foundation to my sense of confidence, but it was not always that way. So here's how I think about just how I exercise and how I choose to move my body. That when I can make it through a really hard workout, it helps me to believe in myself that, like, okay, I just did something that was super, super hard. I am capable of doing really hard things, and that is likely what I just did when I exercised is likely to be the hardest thing that I'm going to have to do all day. I've already done the hardest thing. Everything from here on out is going to be easier than that hard thing that I just did. How I exercise and move my body allows me to be aware and practice my inner dialogue. When Sneaky Pete is like, oh, you can't do that. That's too hard. Like, that's not going to feel good. For me to recognize and say, yes, I can do that. And I just did do that. Or I gave it my best. I did not back down. I did not let fear or discomfort stop me. I think often in life, it's really tempting to want to quit when things get difficult, when they get really challenging. But most often, when things get really hard, we are on the precipice of something really amazing happening. We are on the edge of transformation. And to have to back down from that, to me, again, because I'm all about growth and expanding capacity, I'm like, that's not great. So I use the confidence that I get from moving my body in being able to take risk in every area of my life. So I want you to just be thinking about, how can I start building a relationship with my body and myself that makes me feel stronger instead of less, that allows me to maybe have the strength and confidence to use my voice more often, to go for that promotion, to say, yes, I can. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to try as hard as I can to have that difficult conversation. So right now you're probably thinking, well, I'm not all about like the intense. Oh, sorry. Okay. Hold that thought. Again, too fancy for my own thing. So let's leave this on how moving and using our body can change how we perceive ourselves. Oh. Hi, who's driving?
I've had my right hip replaced, right knee. I had a laminectomy, left shoulder replacement twice, left hip, left knee. I'm a diabetic. I have a cardiac problem, and I have arthritis. I was in rehab in July, and it gave me a lot of thought of myself and what was going around. In my age bracket, I had some real serious thinking and re-evaluating my whole life. After my last surgery, I came here and saw what was going on. I was scared, but I took the challenge. I lost 20 pounds. My range in motion has changed. I have not been able to tie my shoes since 2006. I can tie my shoes now. Each day it's a challenge, but you have to think positive because I'm not ready to die yet, and I'm trying to keep hope alive.
Our bodies are such powerful tools. And I'm not talking about just like our physical strength, but how we can use them to also create powerful minds and powerful mindsets. So, you guys, moving in our bodies can be so many different things for different people at different times in our lives. And like this is something that we could talk about all day long, but here's I guess what I want to just kind of throw out there is we all just start where we are. The important thing is that we begin to do some things where we just start practicing stepping into the discomfort, stepping into the unknown, stepping into the fear, which then now increases our level of where we were. And then we do it again. We kind of push ourselves just a little bit more. We take on a little bit more than what we were previously capable of. Now our baseline is here. So wherever you are, whoever you are, I'm just going to invite you to think about your body as a tool for confidence. Now, I'm not going to tell you that like every day is a great day when it comes to using our bodies to build confidence, but if it's something that we can start working on and we can have fewer of those days where we doubt our confidence, that's a huge improvement because confidence is a state of mind and body. And the problem is if the chemistry of our body is not optimal, it's really hard to just use our minds to try to just overcome that. And so I hope today was insightful for you to see you have a lot more tools at your disposal for increased confidence. That just sense of trusting in yourself, that sense of self-respect, and that internal locus of control. One of the things that came up in the comments was, comparison, external circumstances. When our confidence comes from within, we get to control our confidence instead of the external circumstances needing to be a certain way in order for us to feel confident. It returns our sense of control. Jules, look up Charles Eugster. Okay, I will. Fascinating. Okay, you guys, I have a free resource for you. Just 10 easy ways to get a microburst on a typical day for yourself. Just using your own body weight, whether you are in the office, whether you're on the road, whether you're working from home. So you can either scan the QR code, or if you just want to go to jennyevans.com/10 ways, send me your email address and I'll shoot you the PDF with the free tool. So we do have like just a minute or two. I just kind of want to open this up. Are there any questions that you have from today? Any comments? Or maybe like if you don't have a question, I'd love to know what was your biggest takeaway or what was your biggest aha from today. Also, while you're doing that, just a friendly reminder, Lori sends out surveys. I know she sent out a survey after our last virtual event and she told me that she got 0 replies. Y'all, Lori needs information from you to know what do you want more of? What do you want to learn? What do you need help with? So please take that just minute or two to fill out that survey, so that you get the education and the experiences that you really want from women in compensation. Okay, so the fact that 3 minutes can make a difference for the rest of the day. Yes. How quickly a microburst can reset things. Yeah, how little time it takes to hit the reset. Being comfortable with discomfort. And even if we can remind ourselves when you're just like, oh, it's so uncomfortable, of just like, okay, this is an opportunity for me to embrace the discomfort, for me to just think about it a little bit different. Just reinforce that we are in control of us, yes, and we are very capable to do just about anything. Amen, Eugenia. Just a good reminder to change our physiology to affect our psychology. Share the discomfort stops me. You guys, and also like, I'm not talking about like just cannonballing fully into the deep end of discomfort, but just like, how can I just get a little bit uncomfortable? It doesn't have to be so uncomfortable that it's painful or makes us shut down, but like we get to turn up or down the dial on that discomfort. Okay, you guys, always, this is how you find me. Let's go back to this. I would love to stay in touch. If you need help, if you need resources, please check out my YouTube channel. If you liked this Sneaky Pete video, we put out a video about every 2 weeks that's very highly produced. It's just a couple minutes long with just tips, strategies, things to think about. So would love to stay connected, and thank you for taking the time for yourself. I appreciate that you invested in yourself. I love it. I love it. I love it. So happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays, and hopefully this is not the last time that we are in touch. So thank you so much. Be well, everyone.